Alright, hello. Just explaining a forearm routine that I did quite some time ago. I'm very behind in editing videos, so I apologize if they're not really in any order. I still hope that you find them helpful. Um, I guess my training is kind of out of order anyways, so that's something I need to work on. It's kind of, it is what it is, I guess. I kind of view it as life is kind of out of order, so that's how it kind of happens. Got things I gotta take care of on some days, and then I don't have enough time to do like a longer workout. So sometimes I gotta do something else. So that's kind of why that is. It's just what it is, I guess. So no other explanation. So I apologize if it's there's really no order to this, but that's why. So this forearm routine I did with the BFR bands, blood flow restriction bands. And I've mentioned this before, but before you use something like this tool, make sure you research it and that you use it properly. Because using it improperly can cause damage, and you definitely don't want to do that. So yeah, just make sure that you research it, you know what you're doing, and that you use it properly. Typically when I have these on, I don't wear them any longer than 10 to 20 minutes. So that's kind of just what I do. I have gone a little bit over 20 minutes, but it doesn't seem to have caused me any harm. So hopefully that continues. I mean, definitely don't want to cause harm. That's not the goal here. The goal is to just kind of restrict blood flow, not cut it off, restrict it, just a tiny amount to where that it causes more like a greater pump feeling. So yeah, always remember that you're not cutting the blood flow off, you're restricting it. And you definitely don't want to do that for a long period of time. So find out what works for you, and just make sure you research quite a bit before you use this tool. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. I always mention that, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. I just want to make sure that is very clear. Always research things before you do them. So started off with a wrist roller. This was a circuit routine where I just rested enough to change the weights out and then just kept going. So I did the wrist roller, and then I did standing dumbbell wrist extension. This is kind of a strange exercise that I've not seen many people do, and I didn't invent it, I'm sure, but I've just never seen really anybody do it too much. So the range of motion is rather small, but if you really focus on extending your wrist, you really do feel it. So if you've never tried this, I do recommend giving it a try. And I did use the 2.25 inch Fatgripz on that one. So first movement, wrist roller. Second movement, standing dumbbell wrist extension. And then the third movement was just a sledgehammer hand walk. So this is kind of interesting exercise if you've never seen it. It is rather effective. So if you've never tried it, I recommend giving it a try. You might be very surprised on how pumped up your hand and your forearm get, especially with the blood flow restriction bands on. So that was the third movement I did, and then I just looped back around, changed the weights out, and then just kept going. So it looks like I did a total of 7 rounds. And then, like I say, I probably could have done a few more rounds, but I didn't want to do that with the blood flow restriction bands being on. So that was a good place to stop. And it looks like my final set there was a down set. So I worked up in weight and then did one down set there at the end on the 7th round. So it's pretty straightforward here. I like to use these circuit training routines when I'm kind of limited on time. It helps you get a good workout in, a very effective workout in a short period of time. And I don't think there's ever been a time where I've done this circuit routine and I haven't been sore the next day. So I do believe they are very effective. And I could be wrong here, but that's what I base my effective workout routines on, is how sore I am. Some people say that's wrong, but I don't know. I just disagree. I think if you're moderately sore after a training session, like muscle soreness, not like joint or like achy joints or anything, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about muscle soreness. If you're moderately sore, I think your workout is effective. If you're overly sore, then you need to kind of back off on something, or just kind of build a tolerance over time. Sometimes when you first start training, you're going to be really sore, but you could probably still back off on the volume just a tiny amount and try to hit that moderate soreness instead of the overly sore. But sometimes when you're first starting out, it's very hard to get to that point. So you might just have to tough out the ultra soreness. For me, my legs are always ultra sore, especially after some of the things I've dealt with. My legs just they don't respond as well to training as they used to. But you know what? It is what it is. Still got to train the legs. Definitely got to train the legs. They're what get me around on this earth. So got to keep them strong. So yeah, the circuit training, I like it. I think it's effective. Is it something you should probably do all the time? I don't know. If it's something you like to do and it gets you in the gym, I don't see a problem with it. But I do like to switch it up, so I'm not always doing the circuits. But hopefully you found this video helpful and this explanation helpful. I know I kind of ramble on sometimes, and I apologize for that. But if you have any questions, comments, or tips, leave them down below. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.